It's May 21st, and we are with Chris Grasinger, the High Country Regional Manager for Mountain BizWorks. How you doing, Chris?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Mountain BizWorks exists to create a world, specifically a Western North Carolina world in which small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs have access to the resources needed to make their dreams a reality. I love that mission statement. I think it's more relevant now than ever, perhaps just because so many entrepreneurial dreams have been smashed for the time being, and everybody's kind of trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces. And so I'm sure that you have your hands full. I know you guys do a lot of things for the entrepreneurial community in Western North Carolina. So I wanted to start by asking you, what's at the top of your agenda right now for Watauga County?
Yeah, so Mountain BizWorks actually covers 27 counties throughout Western North Carolina. My office, of course, is based here in Watauga. So it is a focal area for me. Our office here, the Mountain BizWorks office in Boone, is actually the only truly permanent remote office. So I think that speaks to how much we value this high country area and how important and as much of a hub as we see Watauga County. But for Watauga County, I think we have a pretty unique situation in that we are a tourist town. And to add on to that, we are a college town. So that adds another interesting equation to how our local economy functions. And with those two things being affected by COVID, we have to look at what businesses are in the most risky position. And of course, for us, we have made a lot of loans to small businesses and startup businesses here in Watauga. So we have to help and assist and be a sounding board for those businesses. But over the past 2 months, it has been really connecting with everyone across the board, not just our existing clients, but everyone in need. And really, it's a matter of when these businesses can start functioning as they were prior. We have a few things coming up as well that should be more beneficial specifically to Watauga.
Cool. So I know there's been some buzz about this new fund called the ReEnergize Watauga Fund. I'm really interested to hear all about what that entails. Can you give us a little introduction on what that is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. ReEnergize Watauga is a initiative that I worked on through Mountain BizWorks with the Boone Chamber of Commerce and Watauga County Economic Development Commission. And essentially, we had a number of counties throughout Western North Carolina that were coming to BizWorks with a need for microfinance opportunities for their entrepreneurs that were being really affected by COVID. And when I say microfinance, I mean $10,000 or below of capital, external money, loans to help them ride out the course of whatever this is as it is maturing and shifting every day. But $10,000 of working capital or cushion can really go a long way for a business so they have time and room to adjust as needed. The Boone Chamber and Watauga EDC worked with me to develop how that would fit into Watauga, a similar structure. So we came up with a proposal, and Watauga County has contributed some funding to it, as well as High Country Impact Fund, which is a local angel investment fund here based out of Boone. We have other stakeholders that have contributed, like the Boone Chamber of Commerce, Skyline, SkyBest, First Horizon Bank, Wells Fargo, Nationwide. So the ReEnergize Watauga Fund is going to be available to Watauga County-based businesses. They can apply for up to $10,000 of funding, and it really is funding and local money that is structured in such a way to help folks have some time before they have to start paying it back. So we put 6 months of no payments on the front end of these loans. And there will be a small amount of interest, 4% interest, that's accumulated during those 6 months, but you don't actually have to start paying until the 7th month. And on the 7th month, you're paying down at 5.5% over 3 years. So it ends up being a nice financial structure that is considerate of everything going on and all the questionable things that we're not quite sure of. Hopefully the 6-month period allows people to adjust and they can use that $10,000 to help them find resilience.
Gotcha. So is there a certain type of business or size business that this is designed for? Or?
Not really. It should be fairly applicable to everyone. All businesses based within Watauga County. Now, the Main Street businesses, for example, food and beverage restaurants, obviously have been highly impacted by this. And because of our economy, there's some very important employers in the Boone area, the Watauga area. If you're looking at Blowing Rock and other small townships we have. So I think the focal point in a way is Main Street business, but really most things under the sun, it does need to be a registered business. So that's an important piece of this. These are not loans for individuals. They are for registered businesses that generate income and pay taxes in Watauga County.
Some people are probably thinking, how do I get one? What's the plan there?
Yeah, you're gonna have to prepare a few things, and preparation is everything with this, but also timeliness. So on May 27th, just keep an eye out for the announcement that the fund has launched, and then you'll go onto our website and go through our online application portal. Things to really focus on is your 2019 tax return for your business or a 2019 profit and loss statement. You should be able to generate one of those, and we will require that so that we can see how the business performed in 2019. And this really comes back to your prior question, which is the business does need to be functioning for a year in order to be able to apply, because we need to have that snapshot of their historical ability to pay down debt. So that is a critical thing that I left out of your prior question. I'm glad you asked this follow on. Now, once you apply, you're going to have a response from our underwriting team at Mountain BizWorks with next steps. But that tax return for 2019 or profit and loss for 2019 is critical. We also want to see a 2018 personal tax return or a 2019 personal tax return if you've done those already. The filing deadline, as most everybody knows, was extended into further into 2020. So a lot of people won't have those 2019s ready. But those are two very important pieces of the equation. We're also going to do a credit run. So we'll look at personal credit of the entrepreneur and the proprietors behind the business. Anybody that owns 20% or more of the business, we're going to look at that. That's another critical financial part of how we're going to be analyzing these applicants. And then after that, if those two things check out, we're going to be collecting the basic information that everybody would assume. But those are the really two important pieces to have organized so that we can make a decision on whether we are able to move forward or not.
What's the potential impact that this can have on the community?
Great question. So from a numbers perspective, if we raise a total of $150,000 from individuals that want to contribute to this fund, individuals or organizations that want to contribute into this fund. Let's say at the end of all of that fundraising, we end up at $150,000 total, which I think would be the bare minimum that we'll raise. That would be a minimum of 15 loans to 15 separate businesses in Watauga County that we could invest $10,000 into. And if the loan size is smaller for some of those, then we are able to help more businesses. So I think at a minimum numbers level, that's what you're looking at. From an impact perspective, just think of some of the restaurants and some of the individuals that maybe have a small outfit of a business that is really known all around town because they operate with integrity and care and they give back to the community. So if we help just 5 of those that fit into that profile, I think the ripple effect is massive. If you look at the way our circular economy works here, it's going to ripple into their ability to continue their business, their ability to employ individuals that love Watauga and want to live here, and the spending that's happening locally at other local businesses. It just continues to ripple on. So I think even though the funds are not a massive amount, the maximum on it is not a massive amount of funding, that that might limit its meaningfulness to some larger businesses that really need $50,000 or $200,000 to really get out of this thing proper. Those small businesses and the ones that a 10,000 will help, we're contributing towards something that's going to circulate through our economy for the coming years. So I'm hoping that we get in front of those individuals and they hear about this. And I'm referring to the entrepreneurs, and I hope they engage us and apply as soon as they can, starting May 27th. There are other options too. Through the Mountain BizWorks network, we have alternative types of funding that have become available because of this disaster that we're in right now. And we also have some courses around how to raise funds through curating investors, for instance. So with engaging with the BizWorks community, ReEnergize Watauga is the focus right now for Watauga County, but there are other elements of what we do that could hopefully help them out as well.
Well, that's all super interesting stuff, Chris. So I just wanted to ask you for your thoughts on the future as we close. What, from your vantage point in the business community, kind of what's the silver lining through all of this that you see?
Great question, Matt. And I really appreciate it. I think we've got to continue to think in that light of opportunity, and also just appreciation and gratitude of the small things that are happening that are good right now. And I see a wave of that in this past month. I see the state of the entrepreneur changing towards the positive. And I think a lot of folks are shifting how they've done business before. Some are actually finding that this shift that they made because they were forced to is more profitable and actually works better than the way they were operating before, which is just wild. But that's sometimes how innovation happens. We're a very entrepreneurial community, and as a community, we're going to respond in a way that's going to bring us out of this very strong.
That's great, man.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chris. We appreciate what you're doing.